Being 6:30, call this meeting of the Manchester by the State Select Board to order. Jeff.
Here.
Brian.
Here.
Kathy.
Here.
Ann is here, and
Here.
Is there any public comment? No. This meeting is being recorded. Is there any public comment on non-agenda items?
I have something.
Okay.
I got a phone call, and I don't know, Tony, Ken Reel, did you reach out to you yet? Ken Reel, the former CEO of the Chamber and Rotary member, now with a group, the Cape Ann Community Foundation, and police, and the tidekeeper approached him for help in fundraising. They don't want, they want to help her. And did his homework, and he wants to make sure, he went through our meeting minutes back in May. We asked these to speak to department heads because we haven't really given it the official go for it. So he's asking what our stance is now. So I would like to ask that we invite these back here in the next month or so to advise us as to how she made out the her stakeholders in town, and in order to allay any, they don't want to do something that's controversial. So
Nice.
I'd like to bring that back. That's good.
Yeah.
So I'd like we could
So
ask Debbie to put that on the agenda.
In the actions.
Yeah. Ask Debbie to reach out.
Yeah.
Find out what it is.
There is no chairman's report, and is there anything else that we need to put on the action?
Yes, right. Or I may have already. Oh, pre-policy update was the one I was thinking about, Kathy, but we did, Debbie did add it to the.
Okay, I did see you. Okay, so basically it's something that we can defer until after the first year.
We want to, we discussed the short-term rentals the last meeting. I know that was remanded to, I think, was it the planning board? Because there was more involvement. Maybe we should put this on here as just kind of a pick for like 3 months out or something. They should be back in touch with us.
The way we
Oh,
left
I
it
thought we
was-
said we were going to form a committee or a task force or something.
Oh, we just left it as maybe for this kind of meeting, we just focus on changing
30
the
days,
length of time.
Yeah.
And then, we might, I don't know, we were going to talk more about like whether it's a committee that helps advise us or planning board takes it on, but
Well, I just don't want to let this fall through
Right.
put
the
something in
cracks
here.
3 months out.
So
It
that-
hasn't come up before that.
So question, the change that we deliberated on the last time, change from 6 to 30 days, that has to go before.
Mhm.
First item on our amended agenda is the confirmation of the appointment of the Council on Aging Director, Mary Minor.
So
She's here.
Mary is here. My honor to bring forward to you an appointment seeking your support. We posted the Council on Aging Director position some time ago and received a lot of interest, 15 applications. Our Health and Human Services team leader and our HR director took the first round to narrow those down to a top 3, Mary included. And after speaking with those candidates, Mary about her experience, and I'm here to recommend her appointment. I want to say thank you to all the others that also applied. The top 3 candidates, all 3 were really, really good. I wish we had the budget to hire all 3. And they all bring kind of a different range of experience and motivation. I will say that in all 3 of those discussions, each one of them spoke about how the town's commitment towards a senior center was kind of a big element of what drew them to the post. So full disclosure, Mary is coming to us from the town of Nahat. I hired Mary there. She saw the posting and wanted to throw her name in the hat. She has a 30-something years experience at the state prior to that. Really knows the intricacy of the COA job, from the personality and focus you have to have interacting with the seniors and making sure the day-to-day gets done, but also being part of a larger department head team and the kind of following the guidance of the town administrator and the ultimate goals of town meeting and the town and the select. I think she's going to fit in really well, and I think she's going to help us really get from where we are today to hopefully a senior center up and running, really putting us in a big position that she has experience with. In the Nahat, they have daily senior center area there in the town hall, so she brings that experience to us as well. And actually, coincidentally, the 2 of us had gone through a exploratory or feasibility process of a new senior center in Nahat as well. So she's familiar with the process that we're actually in the middle of going through right now. So with that, Mary, would you like to introduce yourself at all?
As Tony said, my name is Mary Miner, and I'm just coming up to 4 years in Nahat. As director of the Council on Aging there. We run it's a part-time program at the moment. We run Monday through Friday, 9 to 1. But it's a full schedule, really. I stay extra to make sure that folks get a well-rounded program. So the focus of our daily activity, among other things, is exercise in the morning, and then we have a gathering at lunch. We serve lunch every day. I have volunteer cooks who come in, and we set a menu in advance, and so people come for lunch. It's $5, and they get a soup or a salad, a main entree, and a dessert, and coffee, tea, or water, and they gather with friends or make new friends, and it's a great program. It is basically the hallmark of our program, but I've extended the time I've been there. I've extended it to include after lunch programs. I have a music program. I have a music teacher who comes in twice a month, and we sing songs, and people like that. We have a little group, 10 people, and they're great, and they show up religiously. We have an art program. We have an art teacher who comes once a month. I have a speaker series. I've just started at this round. I've invited folks from the town hall with the idea that, they come and have lunch, and then they mingle with everybody, and then they get up and they introduce themselves in a group setting, and and they tell folks what they do, so that if they have a question about somebody has a problem with their tax bill, they'll have a person instead of just a name. So whether or not they remember, I don't know. But we're always open. What else? And we have a theater program once a month. I know Beverly's down the street here, but we have We have a great relationship with the Stoneham Theater, and so we started that, I don't know, a couple of years ago now. When I first got there, they have a Sunday matinee, and we go out for lunch, and then we go to the matinee, and we go back to the senior center, and everybody gets in their cars, and they have a great time. So there's lots of stuff, and I don't know, Tony and I work really well together, and don't tell him that, but so I did throw my hat in the ring, as he said. I like the idea of the challenge of bringing senior center up from the ground. I think it'll be great. It's a beautiful community that you have up here. This is the first time I've been here at night. I have to confess, I was pulling into the parking lot, and I thought, beautiful, even at night, even though it's freezing, I know that. But I'm sure you're all used to that, and God knows we are in Nahant. So I live in Saugus, and not just a little drive up, Route 1 to 128. So I can do this. I can really do this. But at any rate, I don't know if you have questions for me. My background, Tony had alluded to that. I worked for the Commonwealth of Mass for 34 years. I was a social worker, and then I became a supervisor in the last 15 years. So I know all kinds of programs, and I've worked with families and individuals and those that are disabled, and certainly the elderly. And I retired, and a friend of mine said, "Oh, I have a job for you in Nahant." And that's kind of how I got into this industry, this side of things. And it's been one of the best decisions I ever made. So that's me. And it's nice to see all of you. He's gone.
I got a question.
Oh,
Okay, good. Great to meet you, Mary, and to hear a lot about your background there. In particular, I'm interested in your relationship with the Friends,
yeah.
and specifically, I think dealing with you said you were starting to explore maybe a standalone senior center. Right now,
Yeah.
in Nahant, it's part of the.
Our plan was short change, but very short. Long story short, plans got changed, and so we're back to square one.
Okay, well, the crux of this, and then certainly Tony has clued you in on where we're at with this.
Yes,
We
Mhm.
almost have a senior center here. Very, very close. And there will be a money-raising initiative that will interact with the OA,
Yep.
with the Friends,
Sure.
and donors, et cetera. And your role will be important at that. I don't think it's fully defined yet, but it's going to be important. Have you dealt with any of that with Friends initiatives? Because I know Friends is a vehicle for money raising and that sort of thing.
To answer your question, I have a great group of friends of the Council on Aging, and have been well established long before I got. And they have been great supporters to me and to the senior center. And their fundraising program that we have is kind of limited right now to, we have a local restaurant that gives us a portion of the proceeds on the night that we have the fundraiser, and as well as raffles and that sort of thing. So, that's been our experience. We did have we had a black tie affair in 2 summers ago on the beach, quite lovely, where some money was raised, a lot of money actually, not hundreds of thousands, but a nice start, and that's that was put aside. So, and we have a COA board that we work with, and are very active as well. So, so I have experience in working with.
All of that experience will be called upon.
I am at your service. And good to know.
Mhm.
Well, thank you. Providing Mary. Thank you for coming.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Look forward to.
I do look forward. Yeah, that'd be great. I'm planning on starting right after the new year, so, then be here. Anyway, I'm gonna head out because it's been a long
Absolutely.
day.
Seeking
Yeah,
a
well,
motion?
Thank you for coming.
Yes.
Thank you very much for having me, and we'll see you soon.
Not yet.
Okay.
Seeking a motion here?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, sorry. I can go.
I move that the select board confirm the appointment of Mary Minor as the Council on Aging Director effective January 5th, 2026.
Any discussion? John?
Yes.
Anne says yes. Kathy?
Yes.
Yes.
Brian?
Yes.
And Jack. Great.
Congratulations.
Well,
Talk about an Irish accent.
okay.
I
The,
had to, I said, you want the job, you have to show up tonight.
Is the title of the hunt going to be coming after you for?
Probably,
Yeah.
probably, yeah.
Anyone else we want over there?
Yeah.
Package.
You know, I fear that she hasn't experienced 128 South.
She'll be fine. The Linway and the hunt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's done with that.
She'll be
She can
fine.
deal with it.
Okay,
Thank you for the support on that.
the next item on our agenda is National Grid. And we need to open a hearing for the National Grid relocation.
I move that the select board open a public hearing on the petitions of National Grid to install underground PVC conduit 35 Central Street, 4 Highland Avenue, and 35.
Jeff? Brian?
Yes.
Kathy?
Yes.
Says yes.
John, yes.
Okay. At this point,
Michael on Zoom.
Yes.
Ex-
Yep. Hey, good evening, everyone. My
I'm
name
sorry,
is Michael
excuse me,
Kazani.
before we
Hold on a
get
second,
started,
Michael.
I'm sorry, I just, I read the motion and I just am not sure it was correct because I'm looking at the
Match.
agenda and it did not match. So I just want to make sure, Tony, I want to make sure we open the public hearing with the correct address. That could have been my mistake, or
Kind of essential.
Got Morris Island.
The opening's on Brook Street, but it's 435.
So these are the addresses of the properties that are receiving,
okay,
but the
actual conduits will go to the addresses I read.
Right.
Okay, I just wanted to double.
All right, Michael.
Yep. Yeah, so my name is Michael Kazani, and I'm representing National Grid at 44 River Street in Beverly. And yeah, so for the first one, for 35 Central Street, we are petitioning to install 2 3-inch conduits about 25 feet from the existing manhole to the property of 35 Central Street. So we're doing this work because the customer is upgrading their electrical service.
Okay, keep going. Go through each one of them if you don't mind, Michael.
Okay, yeah, second one, Highland Ave, we are petitioning to install about 30 feet of 2 4-inch conduits from the existing manhole 174 across the street to, the property of 4 Highland Ave. And we're doing this job because there is a submersible transformer in that manhole currently and it's not safe for our guys to work in there. So we're planning on removing that transformer and installing a pad transformer on the property of 4 Highland Ave. And for the last one, we are on Brook Street. We are petitioned to install about 40 feet of 1 3-inch conduit to the property of 35 Central Street. And we're doing this work because they're building a new house and they need the power.
To be 35.
35 schools. Yep. That's what it has on the permit request. That's what it has.
Okay, are there any questions? is Chuck has gone over all of these. I understand that they're required to bring the roads back to,
Yeah, our standard,
Mhm.
our standard
Condition.
requirements, and then, so because we're going into the winter season, depending on the schedule, on their schedule, if we are dealing with weather, they're gonna have to
Yeah.
coordinate with W on, we don't wanna have open construction while we're going.
Yeah.
snow across it.
Mm.
Right.
That was gonna be my question, before or after the winter,
I don't
or
know,
during.
Michael, I didn't get the sense that you guys had a set schedule on these, from the application that I read. Do you know?
No, we don't have set schedule. It's usually, so we try to coordinate with the customer. So whenever National Grid and the customer are ready to do the work, that's when we get our guys out there to do the work.
So they'll coordinate, once they have a schedule, they'll coordinate with DPW and make sure that's back.
Yeah.
So DPW is good. I don't know if there's anyone here in favor or opposed to the permit.
We need to close the hearing before we,
What's that? Could have picked it. I move the select board close the evidentiary portion of the public hearing.
John,
Yes.
Anne says yes, Kathy.
Yes.
Brian.
Yes.
And Jeff.
Yes.
Okay. Is there any further discussion? Ready for motion?
I move the select board approve the National Grid petitions to install underground PVC conduit to 35 Central Street, 4 Highland Avenue, and 35 School Street.
Discussion? John?
Yes.
Anne says yes, Kathy.
Yes.
Brian.
Yes.
And Jeff.
Yes.
Okay. I move the board close public hearing. Jeff.
Yes.
Brian.
Yes.
Kathy.
Yes.
Anne says yes, Josh.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Michael. I'm glad
Thank
it
you.
all worked out ahead of time. It's much easier for us.
Thank you.
Okay. The next item on our agenda are discussion items, of which the first is the affordable housing. Affordable housing here, and one of them is smiling with her mouth open. Sarah, would you like to?
Yeah, I'm Sarah Mellish. I'm Chair of the Affordable Housing Trust, and I was asked to give an update. With me, I have Chris Olney and I have Joan McDonald and Gretchen Wood. I'm going to touch on 3 different areas. The first is Powder House Lane. And I know it's been controversial, been long, and I just wanted to say that it's not a standard project. Normally, when units are going to be put onto the SHI, the marketing plan, everything is part of the initial application with the state to get approval for a 40B. In this case, there was no state money. So things didn't go as expected. In order to get units on the state housing inventory or the SHI, it's the responsibility of the town, not the owner. So the bad is on us, that we didn't have the expertise or the knowledge in the town itself to understand really what needed to be. So it's dragged and dragged and dragged. There's also a requirement to have a marketing agreement and lottery approved by the state. Powder House Lane, that did not occur. And in order for units to be on the SHI, if they're rentals, if 25% are sold as rented as affordable, then 100% of the units count. If they're home ownership, then each individual home is separate. You can't have a development of 15 and have one affordable and say we're going to count the whole development. Current status.
And sorry to interrupt. Just to clarify, this is a conversion of an existing property, correct? So that's why
This,
the lottery didn't occur, because existing,
well, this was an existing 29 apartment unit, which historically have had a rent well below the market, but not deed
Deed
restricted
restricted.
as affordable. So when North Shore CDC took over this property, they advertised, and they turned over more than 25% of the units to people who met the eligibility requirements for the affordable unit. Unfortunately, because the marketing plan had not been approved by the state and a formal lottery was not held, those units do not count today. Good news is the state has approved marketing. The Affordable Housing Trust is going to meet tomorrow night and be voting on it, and then we'll be able to notify the state that we support it, and that should get us on the way of having the plan in place, and now they have to turn over at least 25% of the apartments in order to get them all onto the SA.
So until that happens, there's what shouldn't have been like. My understanding was it should have been a mass eviction project, okay, as it were, that start fresh with a 29 unit.
No,
That's
well, I think
simplified.
that's
Or at least notice.
overstating it. I think that the challenge you have whenever you have a property that's rented to people of low income, and this was primarily low income. This
Absolutely.
wasn't middle income.
Absolutely.
That you don't want to throw the existing people out.
Exactly.
But
That's the double-edged sword.
and so what they were doing was turning over the apartments as they became available. They would have counted if the marketing plan had been approved by the state before they did that, and if a lottery had been held. And those were the two things missing. People from the Affordable Housing Trust and Bruce Tarr and Representative Fronte met with the person in charge of EOHLC, Mr. Augustus, and they refused to back down on that lottery requirement.
Right. Affordable housing.
Right,
Right.
exactly. But the good news is
On the way.
we're on the road. They should be able to start as it's my understanding, their wish is as units become available, that's when they will turn them over and do they'll have a list and do the lottery if they need.
Be like one by one down the road.
That's my understanding of what they want to do. The other interesting thing is they have expressed some interest, I don't know the time frame, of perhaps expanding that area. I don't know if another building, or I don't know exactly what they're planning, but I think the Affordable Housing Trust is going to attempt to set up a line of communication with them, kind of figure out what that timeline is and see if we can help it along. But, that's not going to be today. It will be tomorrow. Any questions on Powderhouse Lane?
Yeah, so if I understand it, then, I don't know, these people have lease, I don't know if they're one-year leases or whatever, but as long as they want to stay there, they stay there. So when they come up to be empty, I mean, this could take 20 years.
Well,
It
except
could,
that,
it could take
John,
many years, right? Or
well,
what?
except that it was acquired by North Shore CDC, I believe, in 2021.
It's already been 5 years, just about.
And they've already turned over way more than 25.
Okay, all right, so the running rate's
Yeah.
better than that.
Yeah.
I'll have to, and just piggyback on that, but anyone has to come off the lottery list. There's a list for,
They
They've
create
established
a
a list.
list. Yeah. And then whoever, then
on the top of the list.
when the person's name is added to the list, it's my understanding they get a number. And when their name comes up, then they're offered the apartment.
Okay, so they don't have to advertise each time that apartment is available, or do?
I don't believe they have to advertise.
They've already got a list.
They probably have to do it like once a year. They have to certify the income eligibility of the people in the affordable units once a year.
So where are we with this? How many apartments are now?
Well, zero, they have to
Zero.
start from
That's
scratch.
right.
Yeah, I know. So in other words, starting like now or next month, in other words, we haven't done anything yet.
As soon as we sign off tomorrow night on the marketing plan, we tell the state,
Okay,
it's okay, and the state says, you're good to go. Anybody properties.
so this didn't happen last week or last month or 2 months ago. It hasn't happened, but it will
Right.
happen.
It'll happen this week.
I guess so. All
Happen tomorrow.
right.
So
I know where we're
Good
at.
enough for
So,
me.
just to be clear, so you could have, we have 20% of those turned over, or 18% of them turned,
You count those 18 or
but
20.
they're not counted until we get the whole
No,
25%.
no. The
No,
first one that goes
Those are
online,
the SHI.
count.
Okay,
It's just that you don't count the entire
until,
complex until you have the 25%.
then we get the, so if you get, so once we have 6 units or something like that.
No, it's 8.
No, it's a,
Okay. I was a history major.
Yeah.
Math wasn't my strong.
I mean, you could have a
But
millionaire,
then the 29, when we hit 8, then 29 count.
right, and you could have a millionaire in one of them, and
okay.
it wouldn't matter. You just need the 9.
The millionaire could stay,
Uh-huh.
but if the millionaire left, it would have to go to somebody who is an income eligible.
Yes,
So as the other units turn over, they go to income eligible.
correct. Yes.
Okay.
And it's up to 80% of AMI.
Mhm.
And the reason they use the 80% of AMI is because their intention is to add on.
Mhm.
And in order to do that, they need tax credits. In order to get tax credits, you need to use the 80% of AMI as the max rather than a lower as the max. But you don't have to rent them all at 80.
Just the-
Yeah. I think their intention was 4 at 80% and then the rest.
Took us 4 years to figure it out.
Thank you.
It's too
for
bad.
Figuring it
Well,
out.
yeah, let's not
The
attract them
regulations,
first.
It's just,
Well,
I'm sure they're a
the
little
regulations don't really
difficult to tell you, don't tell you exactly.
provide for a smooth or even a legitimate way to, I would say, protect sub-market rate properties,
Mhm.
which is unfortunate.
Yeah.
You know, I think the concern is that the state really wants to see housing be developed. And there's a concern, I think there's a concern that it would just be, your SHI would just be met by all conversion projects
Mhm.
instead of actually building new housing. So that's what difficult.
And I think to be fair to the Affordable Housing Trust, we were not involved at the beginning.
No.
There was a group of people involved at the beginning that raised the money, and there was a town planner involved, and way too many people involved. Nobody knew what to do and nothing happened.
And then I went to North Shore, and this was just a very different type of situation.
Yeah, and I think the Affordable Housing Trust really got involved in the last year.
Oh.
That we started pressing it and, you know, called in, wasn't it the last year? Yeah, and called in Senator Tarr and said, this isn't working. What are we supposed to be doing? Because a town our size doesn't know. And that's one of the arguments made to EOHLC. You need some type of a program for the little towns to help them understand what all your rules are. They're gonna work on it.
Just for people who may look at this afterward, when you say the area median wage,
Average median, yeah,
average,
average medium income,
all right, what's the area?
Greater Boston.
Okay, it's not Manchester specific.
No, it's
No.
Greater Boston, so, and the 80%, and I didn't bring the marketing agreement with me. The 80% for one
132
person is 97.
132 for a 4-person.
The issue here, Essex County, probably one of the most wealthy counties So that drives that,
No,
the
This,
job.
this includes.
It's not
Includes
Essex
Boston.
County
But,
though.
no, but there's a lot of that.
It includes Boston.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's one of the higher of the
Right.
area medians. Okay.
Next item is Manchester Housing Authority site. We've been working on this for 5 years. 5 years. We're at the same point today as we were 5 years ago, except we have more information. The challenge with these sites is there's lots of wetlands and there's a lack of buildable. In order to subsidize the rehab of the state unit, there needs to be a sizable component of market rate unit to give the cash flow to cover the subsidized rent. Because some of those tenants are well below, their income is well below 30% of the area median income. They were, you know, when you just pay 30% of whatever your income is, no matter how low it is. And there's lots of complexities dealing with the state. Nobody really knows what to do with these properties. It's a state obligation. And so there's been a real lack of developer interest. So my sense is we'll discuss it tomorrow night, but we may very well say, okay, let's not put all of our efforts anymore into those sites until the landscape changes and there's more developers who might be interested, and hopefully the state has some type of law that hopefully will invest more money into those properties.
You're talking about Newport Park
Planes
Planes.
and loading places.
and loading.
Yes. Any questions on that?
There's really no room at loading, right?
There- No, they actually, we spent $50,000 to have a consultant come in and give us design. And yeah, you could knock down what's there at loading place and you could add 4 more units. You could add some units at Newport Park and Plains, but the problem is you couldn't add enough units unless, for instance, we had the Pine Street DPW site. Or some other town site that the developer could use to do market rate housing to subsidize the state housing. And so we feel like we're spinning our wheels. And we're in a deep rut.
Sarah, when we last heard from the trust, I believe what we heard was that we need like 2 acres of land. The town would have to find 2 acres of land to make it attractive enough to a developer to add enough units, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, they need to have, what is it, twice as many units as they have today? Yeah, you have to double the number of units to make.
Right, we asked the last time, like, you know, what do you need?
Yeah.
2 acres was the,
Right.
go get the 2 acres, and we have.
So therefore, we're kind of pivoting
Mhm.
and kind of thinking of looking at smaller projects, which have their challenge. We feel that smaller projects will have increased town buy-in because there won't be these great big apartment complexes. But in order to have a small project, either the trust needs to fund the full acquisition cost, or you need free town land. And generally, it would be home ownership rather than rentals because you don't have the volume to have the cash flow to be able to subsidize the rental. So we've been working on a project for close to 3 months. We found a property. We found a developer to work with. It was going to be maybe 10 or 12 townhouses, that size of project. In October, we were led to believe that, and this is taking almost all of the trust fund, just to put it in perspective, for 10 or 12 units. In October, we were verbally told that the offer had been accepted. In November, we were told no, that somebody else had come forward. And there were like 5 offers. And we don't know why ours was an issue, because at one point it was the highest offer. Then we've heard rumors this week that perhaps the person who made the offer that was accepted might not be able to execute the agreement. So it's still a possible project. We don't know, but certainly this experience has told us that we don't have enough money in our trust to do all of this. Because property in Manchester, and the property we were looking at was under 2 acres. Okay, it's around 1.5 acres, close to 8. So it wasn't a large property, but there's lots of properties in Manchester that are that size. And so if the trust can fund the cost of the acquisition, or if the town has land, they can bring forward, so we wouldn't need an acquisition cost. Then there is the possibility of doing these smaller projects of 10 to 12, and they would be home ownership now.
These projects tied to prevailing wage as far as construction.
No.
They must be.
The way it's arranged is that the Affordable Housing Trust would not be doing the development. The Affordable Housing Trust would be making a grant to, in effect, a nonprofit to do the actual build out structure. You know, we don't have any developers on our Affordable Housing Trust.
So would an example be like Habitat, for Humanity? Have you partnered with them at all?
Harbor Light.
It's Harbor Light North Shore, but Habitat.
Yeah. Habitat does more single family home. Yeah. I don't know. But yeah, I mean,
I worked on in Lawrence.
Well, it depends on but a lot of the local ones, because I know we've worked with them at Essex Tech. They've done a lot of, we did a bunch over in Hamilton, but they were smaller.
But, they need a certain number of units to make the money, and by us funding an acquisition cost, and that helps the delta.
Land acquisition cost. That's how they affect how many units they have to build based on land acquisition cost.
Well, it was a certain dollar amount per unit that they needed.
Right. It's
What was the number? Was when that.
It used to be, this is a long, long time ago, it used to be in an affluent community about 45 to 50,000.
Yeah, but that may have been true a few years ago, but one of the challenges today is the construction costs have absolutely skyrocketed. So it's definitely, it's a challenge for us, and it's very frustrating because we've been in effect for almost 10 years, is it? 9 years? 2016, I believe. And so it's painful, and we're finally accumulated some money, and then you look at the cost to acquire something, and it doesn't go very far, man. And you need a certain amount of land. So that's kind of where we stand. So if you can come up with Freetown land, we're on board.
Does it have to be above water?
Yeah, that's useful.
And low tide.
Any of you have anything to contribute?
Big part here.
Okay, any more questions?
Nice update.
Yeah,
Yeah,
appreciate description of the challenges.
And a clear description of what's going on.
Yeah.
We're good.
Thank you very much for your time.
Keep in touch with the people that have House Land. Building there would be nice.
Yes. Yeah, I think that's, something we have to, we need to talk to them and find out what they're doing. And then just kind of,
So they're-
Bugging them.
A little bit more money might help.
exactly, right. Okay,
Okay,
thank you.
thank you.
Mhm.
Oh, thank you. It's so warm out.
Oh, it's just gorgeous, isn't it?
The next item for discussion is the naming of the Pine Street Field. This is kind of my fault. It came to my attention, and I assumed that it came to my attention because people wanted suggestions. No, people already had an idea, and looking for suggestions was just going to make it worse. But here we are.
I think it also layers on top of a discussion in the past about naming properties and coming up with a policy and a process to do that, so they're not just done randomly or without
Committee by committee.
Yeah. The Pine Street Field is kind of a different situation because it's a somewhat newly created
Mhm.
public space. The Recreation Department wants to purchase a sign to install there and would like to have a name to put on that sign. They've come up with three options, but wanted to forward those on to the select board and for approval or feedback. What we're doing tonight, I think, is just kind of publicly announcing that we're open to additional input. I had recommended that you give people 2 or 3 weeks to submit any types of ideas, and then we could revisit or vote something at the next meeting.
Carol, have anything?
Oh, yes, I do.
Yes. Manish?
You're welcome, Sean.
Thanks, Brian. Love to be on camera, but for some reason it's just not working.
My pleasure.
So per the policy that was approved by the select board a couple of years ago, this is the process that the committee would forward on any applications that we looked at and deemed suitable. As you mentioned, you can also still be open to accepting other applications that people may want to put in. Just remembering that the philosophy of the process is, naming opportunities should be reserved for extraordinary circumstances, including but not limited to lifelong service to the town or a unique and substantial contribution to the development of the area, such as the donation of the land or a significant contribution towards the cost of the development. So money was not a piece of this, as it was already land that the town owned. But that part was kind of put in there just because it is difficult. We have a lot of wonderful volunteers in town, and it is difficult if we get, 4 or 5 applications for different volunteers. It will go through the Park and Rec Committee first prior to going to the select board. But then ultimately it is your decision what that name will be.
So Tony, you weren't here the last time we talked about this. I'm just going to state what I stated the last. I remember having kids your age, the kids that you have their age, when I was looking for fields, in another town, and it didn't have a geographic reference. It was a real pain in the neck to try and find the darn field. I love that we call it the Pine Street Field, and I'll just leave it at that.
That's one of the
I saw, and I was very
recommended
pleased.
names, I believe.
I like to keep it simple, and it's helpful to people who might not live in town if that field is eventually used for things other than it is.
The Coach Field was always Brooks. That probably referred to both. I don't think anyone's ever had a real problem. Adult soccer player. No, so I like the other one was on it. Cross over. We've been kicked around the park rec at some point, expanding on the field, having every year putting a couple of names on the wall. So we go like a wall of fame or something. So by not limiting it to one volunteer, but every year someone can nominate for a couple of years. Throwing Charles. But anyway, that's the concept. There was to meet your discussion, your needs, which I totally understand.
Make
I
it
mean, I
easy
was
for
looking
people
for
to find.
something. I was doubly looking for cross street field. I was up down cross. So
Tennis courts there.
Volunteer field at
Pine Street.
12 Pine Street.
Oh, just
or
Pine Street.
whatever.
Yeah, you go. Pine Street isn't as long as Cross Street. You're not going across on the street too. So that was the whole the process there. And then
It's
I
an
don't know if
interesting
anyone else is there.
concept.
Well,
Yeah, you can honor the volunteers.
Every year,
Every
you know,
year. Yeah, I like that idea.
You know, every year you nominate someone and maybe a ceremony, opening day of soccer.
I think we're being asked to
Leave
leave the door open
Leave the
for,
door open.
Other field,
Yeah.
for,
public to weigh in on.
for 3 weeks, and
But
then
they would go through Parks and Rec.
they would go through Parks and Rec and Rec, and the appropriate suggestions.
and the chance of those suggestions being generic, opposed to individuals, me,
Cheryl, is the request for naming opportunity, is that on the website somewhere, easy to be found?
It is, it's on the Park and Rec page of the website. And it's pretty, yeah, it's easy to find.
So would that be announced in the Tide or something?
Yeah, we
Yeah.
can
It's
announce
there.
it on social media, and then I think I had suggested letting it be open until December 5th, and could bring it up on that. We post the agenda the week before, so then I need to have it prior. I wanted to give us a little bit of time. So we can post a link to the page. They can be dropped off to the Recreation Department or the Select Board office. Ask that they be submitted by the 4th, 5th, or emailed by the 5th.
I do, just in the policy, we do say that, it could be up to 6 months, because remember, it does go to the Park and Rec Committee first, and then before it goes to the Select Board, and we also have to do a little bit of homework on the names, potentially. So I don't think it's something that will be completed by the December 15th meeting. That's what you're saying?
Cheryl, when do you want to order your sign?
Well, actually, we'll be applying for CPC grant for December 1st, but we don't need to order it till the spring. It is something that we do want to get finished, but I don't want to all of a sudden now be like, get them in by the 5th. We'll have it finished by the 15th. I mean, on our policy, we say, give us 6 months. So I just don't know. We don't have our December meeting scheduled yet, and we do want to make sure it goes to the Park and Rec Committee first.
So we have a cutoff date of December 5th. Then all of the applications go to Parks and Rec, and you tell us when you want us to decide.
Perfect, I guess somehow that does come back on us, but okay. That's the policy.
Okay, does that meet everybody's?
Looks to me.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, wait, one more thing, hold on, sorry.
Oh.
John, I did do my homework, John, around.
Oh, yeah.
You want me to update you?
Just run it down, yes, in 60
Okay.
seconds.
Coach Field Playground was named for Coach Ed Field, beloved teacher, coach, and summer playground director. Sweeney Park was named for P. Edward Sweeney, who I believe was the former head of Manchester Highway Department. Tuck's Point is named after a Beverly boy, William Tuck. He married into the Lee family and went to work as captain for one of the many ships. His historical house was at 44 Harbor Street, or still is at 44 Harbor Street in Manchester. And of course, Masconomo Park was named after Chief Sagamore Masconomo, chief of the tribe that originally lived on the land that is now Manchester by the Sea. He's blah, blah, blah. That's all. That's it. That's what we have.
One follow-up question. Were all those individuals alive? Were any of them alive? At the time?
Now?
No, at the time those namings
That's a good question.
Well,
were
Masconomo
done.
certainly
Well,
wasn't.
we know that. I would agree with that.
I think
Tuck would probably
Sweeney
be the
Park.
only one, right?
Pardon me?
I think Sweeney Park may have been, but I'm not sure.
Just curious.
Pretty sure Ed Field had died for that.
Yes. Yeah.
All right.
Actually, one other little piece on Tuck's Point, which maybe you know this, but the area became a public park in 1878 when the Manchester Elder Brethren, the local fraternal organization, created it for the benefit of the town residents. Did not know that.
Good.
Okay, anything else, Cheryl?
No, I think we're good on that.
Okay. Great.
Thank you.
It was my liaison update.
Okay.
Thank you, Cheryl.
Thank you, Brian. Moving on.
So I think we know what we're doing. We've had the Affordable Housing Trust update, and there's nothing to be done with that. We know what we're doing on the Park Street Field naming. So I guess we're on to the action items, the first of which is to change the July 4th committee to an advisory committee to Parks and Rec, the Parks and Rec director. And the goal there is to make it not an official appointed committee so that it doesn't have to have minutes and open meeting regulations. They are just as to a.
Oh, that's me. Motion?
Mhm.
I move that the board change the July 4th committee from a subcommittee to an advisory board for the Parks and Recreation.
Further discussion? Yeah. Brian?
Yes.
Kathy?
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
John, yes.
Just a logistical question on that. So for Tony, who now is keeping the keeper of the list of which committees are advisory, adjudicatory? Who's in that list?
Deb.
Debbie is?
Yeah.
And,
For that, the select board.
all right. So
Anything else I think would,
So Debbie kept the whole list. I understand Christine manages other ones for the elected officials, but Debbie had, in fact, she did have the list. I just want to make sure if you had changed. I didn't know if you had changed. And then, so will she coordinate with whomever to get the website updated and all of that? So we.
There is the next item in the actions is a one-day alcohol license for Olson Lewis Architect.
I'm sorry, that's,
Okay, yes, please.
the last year, the Greater Chamber Summer again had a full weekend celebration holidays on Friday, And then we're participating again this year where we have vendors to the office. We have and just everyone to north is out here. They are licensed. I know we have a license. I have like where the truck would sit.
Actually, could you just give us your first and last name?
Oh,
and
sure,
your-
sorry, I thought it's Sherry Lynn.
Okay. Any questions?
I think it's admirable, but I don't think any other vendor does it on Friday night.
We had a good turnout last year.
Yeah, no, but I know that like most every other store.
Oh.
Serving a line or something.
This is outdoors.
Yes.
Maybe outside?
The truck would be outside.
Oh, okay.
Yes, yeah, that's fine.
And then we would have like tables set up. I think the food truck would be there.
Okay, if there's a food truck, you probably need to go to the Board of Health.
I think they did go.
Okay,
They've already
good.
sent
Yeah.
applications. They have done that. We had one last year.
Okay, so you know what the routine is.
Yeah, it works, yeah, so that, I know that, they also making sure they. I can make sure, double.
Right, I move that the select board approve the one-day alcohol license for Sherry Glenn, Olson, Lewis, 17 Elm Street for December 5th, 2025, from 2 to 9 p.m.
Second.
Yes.
John says yes, Ann says yes, Kathy,
Yes.
and Brian,
Yes.
and Jeff.
Yes.
Okay,
All right.
nice, thank you very
I
much.
know Gary might show up, he's from Grenoble.
Oh, it's all done, you took care of it.
All done. Well, thank you so much. Have a nice night.
Yeah.
You don't want to see me?
Bye.
Okay, the next is a committee appointment of John Croft, Finance.
Yes, so we had this on our agenda a couple, not last meeting, but 2 select board meetings ago. And we had not public advertised vacancy at that time. So we had, I had interviewed John Croft prior to that night. And then we determined that we wanted to hold on the appointment, post the vacancy for 2 weeks, and then interview anyone, which we did have another applicant that came in and that Ann and I interviewed, and then move forward with the appointment tonight. So we did do that. We had one more. Both candidates, I think would bring a nice attitude and experience or motivation to the committee. However, John has prior experience on the finance committee, where the other applicant had no experience. Actually, it would be their first time serving on any municipal board. But we are really thankful to him for putting his name in, and got to learn a lot about his background. And I wish we still had an open seat on the facilities committee, because he would have, I think he would really shine there.
He's welcome to attend the public meetings.
Yeah. So we're going to keep his name on the list, and he's really interested in getting involved locally. He works for the MBTA as here or project manager.
Or an acquisition.
So thank him. But we are recommending the appointment of John Croft. So John served on 3 terms on the finance committee in the past. He's extremely familiar with the responsibility, ready to jump right in. This term goes until June of 2026. At that point, he said, I'm happy to stick around or put a pin in it and come back to that later. But he was understanding of the need, to fill the seat immediately and get to work right away, because we're entering the budget.
Mhm.
I spoke to Sarah Melish and said
She's on
she would
board.
much rather have some, since their budget season has started and trying to bring a new person up to speed, that this would slow down.
Now, has Sarah worked with
Yeah.
John? Has, I know John.
They overlap.
John's been off the, planning. But has John served with any of the current? Which would make it even better.
Don't know.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's neither here nor there. I mean,
Oh, John's on the Zoom.
Yeah. Yeah, I worked with Sarah and I think a couple of other ones as well.
Maury and Andy,
Yeah, right, that's right.
They've been there.
around what's wrong.
Motion, Brian?
Yes, I am. I move that the board appoint John Croft to the Finance Committee to fill a vacancy created by resignation for a term to expire on June 30th, 2020.
Second.
Second.
Huh.
Yes.
Yes, Kathy,
Yes.
Jeff, Brian,
Yes,
and Jeff. Okay.
John.
Thank you, John.
John, thanks a
Thank
lot.
you.
Congratulations.
Great.
Thank you. See you guys.
Okay. The next item, yeah. The next item is parking policy with a continuation of the White Beach parking special.
So I sent out a amended recommendation before the, we had, so when we left this conversation at our last meeting, we said, let's mirror the overnight parking restriction that we have at Singing Beach at White. So I struggled actually at first, but eventually found, a policy that we could amend. And those are in your backup packet. But in the parking policies, they do speak to resident stickers and how that works at Singing Beach. But on the second or third page of the policy where it actually lists out the lot, Singing Beach is not listed on there. Neither is White. And the only property of the properties listed there that speak to an overnight restriction is Masconomo, which is 2 a.m. to 6. At Singing Beach, the signage does say that the lot closes at 10 p.m. So basically, the recommendation is to mirror Singing Beach in the 10 p.m. Start time for an overnight restriction, and then went to 5 a.m. on the opening time in the morning, because we do have people, I think, who want to get there early for enjoy the sunrise or go for an early walk or things like that. So the recommendation is that we would actually add White Beach as a property listed in the parking policy.
Singing Beach.
Singing Beach we are going to add, but there are some other.
Oh, okay, right.
I'll come back to that. But for White Beach, add White Beach on there, add the overnight restriction 10 p.m. to 5 a.m. and add the resident only restriction that is posted currently of May 1st to October 1st with that. At first, we had talked about potentially adding voter placard parking there too. There was the thought that mooring holders at Black Beach may park overnight at White Beach, but then in speaking with the harbor master, those moorings are really held only by people who live in that vicinity, so they're not parked overnight at White Beach for that purpose. So I don't think that. For Singing Beach, I want to work a little bit closer with Cheryl, with Todd, and even Christine to kind of understand some of the appeals that we've received for over there is because of the signage there talks about non-resident parking when it's allowed from October 15th to April 15th. It kind of mirrors the Dogs on the Beach policy. And then, so from April 15th until it's staffed, it's really resident only. And then once it's staffed in May sometime or early June, it does open back up to non-resident, subject to, availability. So there's a little bit of a confusion there for non-residents of, am I allowed to or not allowed to park here in between April and May? But I think it's going to take a little bit more time to kind of figure out what the best way to clarify that is. They too need to replace their sign, so good time to take a look at that. Yeah.
Well, I was gonna say, I think that's really smart to take a breath, figure out what the regulation should be and make sure the sign's appropriate. I would advocate for fewer words. Okay, you can't expect someone to drive up and, figure, it should be easy for people to do the right, right? So whether it's not putting a laundry list of possible parking scenarios on the one sign and maybe having a different sign for each season, you hook it on, and, right? That would, I think, address your feedback that you can make the letters larger and say, nope, no non-resident parking. Okay, just think about different signs instead of trying to cram everything on.
A lot of copy on
Oh
it,
my
really
gosh.
is.
So as we're talking about Ocean Street, if we end up doing something down there and taking some grant money, are we gonna have to possibly allow non-resident parking there at some point?
Usually, I don't think so. I think that's more about public access to, use of the beach itself.
Beaches, I,
I don't think so. I'll double check. I don't think it would affect the managed park.
that's the only reason West Beach. Private.
So it did impact what they could do regarding park.
As soon as we took money, was it going 78? As soon as Manchester took federal money for the blizzard of 78 to fix the wall there, that opened up the beach.
Oh, the beach has been open since 30. But certainly, I was around and going to the beach a long time
In the
before.
30s?
No.
Wow, you kept real well.
I think West Beach, I think you can.
You can't
You
walk.
can't walk on it unless you have.
Unless you're
Yeah.
moms
Live
or
there.
pride.
I'll have to double check.
Good question.
Yeah, look
They
into
got
that.
in a lot of trouble because the West Beach Corporation wasn't paying taxes. And it was a questionable nonprofit since it was restricted.
Yeah, no, they've been probably fighting for over 100 years.
Yeah. Okay, so we will take up Singing Beach
Another time.
another time, but we will agree that Ocean Street and Maspino will be no parking 10 to 5. 10 to
I actually-
Well, are we changing Masco?
I had originally suggested that, and then when I was talking, I did a little bit more homework today with the harbor master and the chief, and the reason I suggested changing it was because I thought it was odd that it was 2 a.m., 6 a.m. I should have thought there must be a reason why it was
Right.
2 a.m. And I think more so, I think people who have moorings, might go out on their boat and they come back late, and then get in their car and leave. The fishermen. So, not knowing more of the history of why 2 a.m. to 6 a.m. was the final decision, I'd rather not
Okay.
upset the cart and just add White Beach in 10 p.m. 5 to 5.
Notice that we have a number of
Residents,
people
yeah.
from the area.
Brenda Furlong, 19 Ocean Street. Will we also have a sign on White Beach declaring that there is no overnight parking?
Yes, once this vote takes work on getting new signs.
There is one there.
There's
There is
one
one.
there. You need more than one. That's the issue. There's
One
one
there.
little one. Some of the ones that are
Signage will
there,
be
you
dealt
can't
with.
read.
Any further? Okay,
Yeah, there's a
Yes.
motion there.
I move the select board amend the parking policies by adding White Beach to the list of lots with no parking PM to 5 AM. Resident only, May 1st, October.
Second.
John?
Yes.
Anne says yes, Kathy,
Yes.
Brian,
Yes.
and Jeff. Okay. I hope that helps your problem.
Thank you.
See what that does.
Appreciate that. It's, appreciate the fact that you took a measured approach to it. We get to a good result, so thank you.
Liaison update. John?
Department of Public Works. They were in Myrtle Beach last week, so I can share their golf scores with you, but I don't think aren't worth sharing. But the meter conversion continues, and that's going well. I will say there's going to be confusion with the billing that came up, and I spoke with them today because the bills came out on Friday. And for those meters that have changed, your bill or your usage is now in gallons. And if they have not changed yet, it's in per 100 cubic feet. And when I looked at my bill and it said like 5,000, and I was used to seeing 300, I said, what's going on here? And then I looked, I said, oh, because I have a new meter. They'll be getting calls on that. And that'll be confusion for a while. I don't know anything about that until most of the meters are turned over. So it'll be a problem for at least one more billing cycle. So, but the meter replacement at about 150 to 200 meters a week, every 2 weeks, going along well. Historic District Commission, they had a meeting last week. It's just standard stuff, events, that sort of thing. The seniors, I think, have been a subject here and will continue to be a subject, so I'm not going to touch on that. And the library is making good progress with its ADA bath, going up. Got numbers now. Starting to move ahead. About 100. Yeah.
Borrow mine. $10.
A lot of money. That's it.
Pike and Ped meeting got pushed. Supposed to happen last week. Now it's going to be this Thursday. And we have another facilities committee meeting on Monday where I think we're going to be meeting with Fuss and O'Neill. Tony, the engineers are looking more to come on that.
We've
Parks and Rec?
got the Parks and Rec, my thunder was taken. They meet Wednesday evening. ZBA meets Wednesday evening. That should be an interesting meeting Wednesday evening.
Oh, yeah.
Cargo's on the agenda. And Concom, that was last week. There was one comment by one of the applicants that bodies meeting in person, opposed to trying to do it. But he could have probably saved some time. I will be month or so. Suggested bylaw. Like would require boards, judiciary board, hybrid. Wanting the town council look at it. Hopefully the select board behind it.
in the case of the select board, if there is some interruption in the remote access, we wait to get it cleaned up and continue remote. I think we have never had to cancel the entirely remote was. The finance committee has the remote access as a favor and say that they will continue with the meeting even if they have to shut down this. And I think there's been a recent update law that allowed hybrid meetings and remote meetings. I'd like to get, before we take up Brian's request, we find out what exactly the legislature and would it be legitimate just to cut off the Zoom? Or do we need to have a way of maintaining if meetings advertised hybrid?
Well, that was going to be in a hybrid model that minimum.
The problem.
I think what they want to do is they want to make what we have now law, so they don't have to keep going back.
Right.
Vote
Right.
on.
Right.
But the question is, my question is, if you have a meeting that's both local and remote, and the remote, and you decide to cut off the remote, is it still a legitimate meeting?
It is.
It is.
Wenham has already, there's, in their agenda.
I'd kind of like to have it from.
Okay, no, but I'm confident that that's the
Okay,
case.
fine. So
It may be that you have to add something to the, to your postings that
And
says
that's what
if
Wenham does.
right.
if
And
remote-
finance committee does that.
And actually, Sarah Mellish, the
Yeah.
ZBA, says it out loud as well
Okay.
at the beginning of the meeting, that the meeting will continue.
But I'll ask legal if they have any advice.
If we're going to have a policy, I'd like
To be a real one.
to be at least consistent.
Yes.
You know,
Why change now?
2 to 5,
Yeah.
8 to 3.
Yeah.
Anything else?
No, that's it. That's
Oh, I'm sorry,
impressive.
just back on the cargo, I think I saw a message come through on social media, the applicant was inviting.
There's an open house
people
tomorrow.
I did see that.
open
Yeah,
house
yes,
tomorrow,
the attorney called me today, said that there'll be an open house tomorrow at the
yeah.
site,
Union.
okay,
Or-
to address any public. They're happy to try to work as close to the resident as possible.
I don't really have much for you this week. Harbor Advisory was canceled. I wasn't able to go on the planning board walk. I know. Loaded.
To that point, I found actually, I went on the walk, but John, you were in the other.
Yeah, I was in
group,
the other
They
group.
So
split
it
us
wouldn't
up.
be a quorum. I found it informative. I thought they did a good job. Felt a little more at ease.
Well, I heard a lot of different opinions. Was it December 4th is the forum? Having a forum. I think it's scheduled that week. That will be, I think, informative. There were a lot of different opinions in our.
Yeah, I think that there was some, on our
Yes,
side,
it is, December 4th.
from our group, I thought there was even just changing some language.
Right.
From required or mandated, wow. Simple nuance changes made me thought.
The finance committee has soon. Of the Board of Health met to discuss the issue of their joining the health and welfare department, which is an interesting discussion. But happily, it's up to Tony to sort that one out.
Join what?
The Health and Human
The
Services.
decision.
Board of Health.
Well, it was about the team leader job
the team leader.
description.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
And do they really belong in the same group with Parks and Rec and the
Okay.
seniors?
Help. Big word right there, right? Help. I don't know. Red flag to me.
Anyway, I think it's the 20th, Board of Health is going to consider who does Avenue again. The school committee, had a nice long meeting. The only thing of great interest is, general interest, is the report from the Essex Building Committee. And they have eliminated Apple Street as a possibility.
Okay.
It's expensive, and much of the expensive stuff is directly on Essex. Would not. The next question that they're taking up is the configuration of the elementary school. They're looking at three configuration, or they talked about. One is where it is now, K through 5, and there'll be some more pre-K in Essex if they have a school. Or stopping Essex at third grade and sending the rest of the fourth and fifth to Memorial, or just sending everybody. Everybody to Memorial is really a non-starter, at least according to the building committee, because they have an interest that their application to the NSBA was for a school, for the Essex Elementary School. And if we're going to eliminate it, we don't get the money. And it would take money to expand the Essex Elementary School to the point where it could handle the whole elementary population. That would also require amending the regional agreement, and which would require a vote by both towns. And both towns have been fairly vocal about wanting to keep their kids in there. So the reducing it to the third grade, having K through 3 in Essex has the same problem with changing the teacher agreement. Memorial School is large enough to handle another fourth and fifth grade. It would have a little benefit in that if you have 2 classes and they're too big, you divide them into 3 and they're all too small. If you have 4 classes and you need a 5th, you get a better discount. On the other hand, it does require a vote to change the agreement, and it doesn't really save you very much because the K through 3 school would still have to have a gym, a cafeteria, and a kitchen. You're eliminating 4 classrooms, but not really, in the opinion of
They selected K through 3 instead of K through 2.
Is it transportation looked at?
There's transportation with that. K through 2 still needs a place to eat, a place to cook, and anyway,
I
whatever.
think that if you're in for a penny, you might as well. But that's not my decision.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, they'd also like to coordinate if the decision that they ultimately decide on is going to require the timing of if you wanted to add that question to the November ballot next year, submit that request date. Why? Typically have a town meeting prior to the ballot vote, so that would that would time things up. In October special vote count, and then the ballot vote first Tuesday in November.
So what are we looking at for a timeline as far as them deciding what option they're gonna do in a plan of what they wanna build? How far away?
Given that the only decision they've made so far is that Apple Street is not a candidate, I'm not sure.
Yeah, we're not even
Because
close, right?
Even if they settle on, pre-K through 5 in Essex, do they renovate? Do they? There are a number of. I think before July, we will have a pretty good idea. Whether that we were, because we'd have to have an idea of what it's going to cost. Right now, we don't have an idea. But I will certainly keep an eye on that. That's all I. Okay. Consent agenda.
That's me. All right, I move that the select board approve the consent agenda.
Second. Discussion. Issues, great. John?
Yes.
Anne, yes. Kathy?
Yes.
Brian?
Yes.
And Jeff?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay. Administrative.
Okay, so I just wanted to bring forward to you some, the requests that we've received for capital to date. In front of you, this document that I handed out before the meeting. This first page is your FY27 requests that we've received, and a couple extra down the bottom. And the page on the back is probably seen it in the past. This was a previous capital improvement 5-year look ahead. So we have a significant number of capital items that we need to address in the coming year. And the biggest one is the water plant improvements pass upgrade, which is at $12 million. The town has applied to the SRF program we should find out February or March. Yes, put accepted into the program. That allows for long-term, low-interest loans and potentially some debt forgiveness. So it's definitely the best financial way forward for us. Hopefully, we're successful getting added into their IUP, and we'll find out later this spring. But we still would be required to authorize the borrowing through that program, which would be a town meeting vote. And likely with that would be debt exclusion vote as well, pay that debt. The debt for something like that through that program usually doesn't hit until after the project is completed. So maybe 2 or 3 years debt act has to start.
We take out fans and then how do we pay for?
So we borrow through the SRF program. There's no debt service until project.
Okay, so they pay
then,
for it and then
yeah.
we, okay,
Yeah.
got it.
We also have, as part of our roadway reconstruction capital improvements under Public Work, Tappan Street has been a topic that for a project that's been on the list for quite some time now. This is water, sewer, drainage, resurfacing, and sidewalks. It's the full gamut as far as reconstructing a roadway. And then we have other roadway improvement, drainage and sidewalks improvement according to our annual capital improvement plan, and design for Bennett Street. As you can see, the DPW facility number, that's for conceptual design as well for DPW/public safety facility. We may not include that in our spring town meeting figures because similar, we may want to move a little bit further along in the process with the facility planning committee before we ask. It's likely that we'll be ready for conceptual design sometime in the next fiscal year. If we're going to have a special town meeting in the fall, we could take up the cost of that design at that point. And we have about $100,000 in hand now from a previous appropriation to go towards that. Dredging is another big item here, $1.9 million for Proctor Cove, the main channel. We also have a couple of things at the bottom of the list here that I think we have to make some decisions about as a group. The three projects of the Council on Aging, the Central Street Culvert, and the Rotunda. So Council on Aging, that's going to be a fundraising element involved with paying for that project, but we may need to pay for it and then be reimbursed the fundraising. One, because it'll put us in a position to go out to bid and actually get the project started while fundraising is going to happen, but also because we can't fundraise ourselves and we're actually going to a third party, and the way that their process works, that as they're not going to be sending us funds as it's raised. We actually provide an invoice to them and they pay us for that invoice form like that. So we may need to put the money up front. Central Street Culvert, as you know, we have the BRIC grant, hoping for an extension on the BRIC grant. We're also applying for the MVP grant. But if both of those things are unsuccessful, we have to decide if that's something we want to fund on our own. And the Rotunda, we have applied for an SEC grant to pay for the cost of the Rotunda, but as a backup plan, we could apply for bonding, borrow CC, in which case the money that's already been approved for the Rotunda through CC we would just ask to bond the full cost of the Rotunda project, and they would take back the previous appropriated funds from there, which I think is about $5,000. So I think, it ultimately, once we go through the operating budget requests and take a look at what our needs are as far as what we have to fund on the operating side, we'll understand better how much extra we have to go towards capital. I'm assuming, I don't want to assume, I'll let you know where we're going to be at that point. But we're looking at multiple debt exclusion needs here, whether we do one debt exclusion vote that features multiple projects or multiple debt exclusion votes project. It's going to be part of the discussion that we need strategy.
They're different rate for what you borrow or no? It doesn't tied a couple things together.
I think that even if we I'll have to double check with Andrea. Excellent. Andrea, I was going to say that even if we voted if we got approval separately, if we asked the voters to vote on debt exclusion per project, would we still have the ability, if we were moving forward with those projects in the same time frame, would we have the ability to borrow those as one for a better rate?
Yes. Yes, we would.
So we wouldn't be, so we, on the accounting side, we could still,
Yeah, you can split it up at town
consolidate.
meeting, but you can
Yeah.
put it all together on the
Right.
backside.
Yeah, and depending on the time, that's what we just did for the 7.5 million that was appropriated, previously. We banned for the water and now we're gonna be banning for the sewer and then eventually we're gonna go up for the full 7.5. That's what the plan we're doing going forward.
The library ADA bathroom is listed here as well. A lot of on the harbor, outside of dredging, the other harbor related items that are included there, regarding a vehicle or, the public safety boats or the hydraulic trailer.
Yeah, why do we need it?
Actually, the idea there is it's long-term savings. So what we could do with the hydraulic trailer is actually haul all of our boats to launch the public safety boats on our own. And instead of having, because we don't have trailers for some of those boats, that hydraulic trailer can trailer all of them.
But what are we paying to haul? I mean, what do we have? So, what is,
I mean,
I can get the backup for you.
they're not that big. It's
well, I'm thinking even if you're spending $500 or $600 a boat,
Yeah.
right?
a lot less than 41.
Over time, you're gonna have to spend money on this trailer too.
I'll get you the backup on it. I think the idea there is that the idea there was to save money long term by reducing the amount of trailers that we have, the amount of insurance that we have, the amount of times we need to haul, the outside vendor to haul. But I can put all that in.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we
those
have-
numbers aren't adding up. I mean.
We have some trailers
I don't have
already.
a trailer. I have my boat hauled.
We have 2 trailers, I think now, and those 2 also are tied to the boats that we may surplus when we switch over. So I think that was another piece of it, was that you could get more if you include the trailers to those boats as well. But I don't think it's just, I don't think we only may haul multiple times a year if you have an issue with the boat that needs worked on. I'm not sure. I'll get that back up.
My thing is, you're gonna spend 41 grand on a trailer, right? And in 5 years, you're gonna be dumping money in the trailer. Hydraulic trailer is not cheap. Okay? So, is there really a cost?
Yeah, I think that would be worth, finance committee obviously looking at those numbers. But those numbers aren't adding up.
I would reserve.
I'm not saying no. I
opinion.
want to
What we're
save.
doing-
I want to see it on paper.
Sure, yeah,
You
and
just
that's
need
going
on
to go
paper,
with
right.
a lot of these things.
Right.
What we're doing tonight is just, sharing what we've received for requests and looking at the kind of the big picture. The next step in the process is to really go, get into the weeds on all of these requests, decide what we're going to move forward with, what the strategy is going to be, how are they going to be funded.
What was the, do we know what the total was last year?
What, for
Or
capital?
yeah.
It was around 4.2. I looked at it in the current year. If you back out all of these big numbers, which is what, dredging and tap and reconstruction and the DPW facility and the water plant,
It's usually around 3 or 4. right?
you're about where you were last. When I
I
first
think it
looked at
was-
the bottom line, I said, oh, good grief. And then
I think it was a 7.5. Andrea, can you weigh in on that last year?
Yeah, so we have 4.2
Yeah.
total, and then we also have the 7.5 debt exclusion.
are any of these items here part of that debt exclusion, like water main improvements or something? Or is that all the 7.5 is allocated to other projects that aren't on this list?
The 7.5 was for water and sewer infrastructure.
Like for the water, it was like the water meters on Pleasant Street, School Street.
Right.
So that was from last year.
But, okay, and none of the water and sewer entries here are part of that. That's in addition.
Correct.
That's what my question.
On the 27 list, right?
Yes.
I'm curious, in the harbor master, there's $75,000 for equipment for emergency response. What's that?
Second. So right now we have a 2019 Ranger that we can't haul boats with. This is a Ford Ranger vehicle that we have for the harbor master. So we would be replacing that with a new
This is a
vehicle.
truck.
Yep.
Okay,
And taking that current Ranger and backing it down to more of a shared vehicle for multiple purposes. ACO,
okay.
harbor master, town hall, different types of things that we can use instead of having.
Okay, so that truck is kind of dependent on the trailer,
Ties together. Yeah. Yep.
making the trailer 100,000.
Yeah, I
So
mean,
it's
I
tied
do
to the
think.
trailer. If we don't do the trailer, we don't need the truck.
No, I mean, I still think we're still.
What are you buying for a truck? 'Cause you have to call a hydraulic trailer.
Yeah, it would have to be.
Like,
It would have to
So I
be
guess
it'd be like a 4-5.
Yeah, it's gonna have to be a larger. I don't think we need to go with like a 450 or 550, but 350 I think we do.
So I guess on the
Yeah,
vehicles,
you know better than me.
Well, I'd have to see what the trailers, what the capacity. What are you buying? Well, you're looking at more boats too. So what's the weight of these boats?
Again, let me get you.
Yeah, I know. So we need more info.
we're gonna need, I think, information on, I wanna bet, for the fire department, we've always had like a really good, outline of the replacement timeframe and cost and stuff like that. I feel like for the other big areas, we don't have that plan as visible. I think we talk about it in little pieces. So it'd be nice to see the whole like replacement plan, like for the new.
I've seen it for DPW, and I think police is on like a pretty standard.
I think I've seen it for, I've seen part of it for DPW. Yeah, I don't think I've seen police, but anyway, to refresh our memories, I think that would be helpful. Public safety votes. I mean, that was something that we didn't expect to see on the list. So I just, for this equipment,
Didn't we buy boats last year?
we're always
bought-
buying something. So it's like,
Safety
It
boat
feels-
last.
We bought.
Replaced.
boats last a long time. They're not like, so what do we?
I know we got 2 launch boats, right?
Yeah, that's what we bought last.
Yep. But one of them, it was a package deal, my understanding.
Yeah.
One of them's serviceable, the other not really.
That wasn't the way it was presented to us.
Right.
Yeah, I don't
No,
know.
so that's, I mean,
I wasn't.
I'm just
Yeah,
saying,
you weren't here.
going to push hard on that one because, and also that shouldn't be for the launch because the launch is supposed to be 100% not funded by tax dollars, right? So the launch fees and whatever else they do with it has to fund this. So I think the other thing that would be helpful is to understand it all has to be in one budget, but which ones are funded by tax dollars versus not, that would be a help.
So I
Anything
think,
to do with the launch is not to be funded
so I think one of these boats is going to have some fire equipment on it. But
We spent 116 on boats last.
by. Yep. They last a long time. It's
Safety
not like a
boats, so-
car. replace every 5
Last
years.
year, $100,000 towards $217,000 match for 2 new boats. Right?
And we're
That's
selling,
what I've written down here.
trading boats in, weren't we, or?
Something like that.
But we've been working with the Edgewater and the, former Coast Guard boat.
Right, so I think they want to get rid of that Coast Guard boat. Then have another boat with fire capability on it.
Yeah,
I think, and the Edgewater. I'd rather like bring you guys
No,
up.
I- yeah,
Right, okay, you know where our questions are.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a port security grant that's going towards the cost of the 2 new boats that covers 75%. So, and part of, when it comes to the harbor, as you pointed out, we're also, this kind of ties into this other discussion of potentially creating a harbor enterprise account.
Right.
And any side of, even dredging, the debt service for that would come through a future enterprise account. So all of these capital items, yeah, the idea would be to,
So I didn't think it, so an enterprise account means fully fee funded?
No,
I don't think it does.
don't
I didn't
it
think so.
does, because we pay for stuff at the sewer plant. We certainly pay for sewers, and we pay for water.
yeah, it can be, okay, I'm sorry, it
So
can
what
be
I'm-
subsidized by
Right.
the general.
So I think dredging is
That's
outside of
the
that.
commitment. Nothing to
Enterprise.
do with that harbor launch. The boats, the maintenance, personnel, nothing is to be. Whether it's an enterprise fund or not, that's for the accountants and you to decide. But that is not a service.
I think we're on that,
So
we're on board with that.
the finance committee is supposed to, we're supposed to take a look at that every year to make sure. And if it doesn't meet the criteria that we outlined in the original plan, the service gets shut down. That was the,
I don't think that there's anything to that.
okay. Like I said, I haven't seen the results from the past season. What did we make? Was it,
I think we're talking about that Thursday
Yeah.
night.
oh, okay.
I
Okay.
think it was pretty much the same as last year.
Then how can we afford some new boats?
Well, I can't answer you that, but the numbers
So-
I saw, looked like it was a repeat of last year.
Right, just by a question too, on the software for the accounting, yeah, maybe Andrea can do this, but, are we looking at expanding our relationship with the Danvers IT Collaborative so that we share, like, are we buying into software that they have, or this is standalone software that we have? And if it's standalone software that we have, why aren't we doing more with our partner community there to provide software that we?
I don't know if, for this type of software, I don't know if that's an option, but Andrea.
Yeah, Kathy, I have discussed this with the collaborative, over the last few years. They, like, the town of Danvers currently uses Munis, which is like pretty much one of 3 municipal software packages that work in Massachusetts. When they spoke to Munis, Munis is really not interested in having multiple clients under one umbrella. They prefer to have separate contracts, so this is like a standalone financial system software for the town. It's something that if we went with Munis, we could partner with Danvers so that, because Munis kind of works with the, they really want you to have your own IT department. And since Danvers does have Munis and we work closely with them, they could potentially be that for us if we went that route. But there's other vendors that we're currently researching as well. I hope that answers your question.
Kind of. I just think in the area of any type of software, we should be doing the bare minimum unique stuff, because there's nothing that we do that is unique, right? We belong to a state, and every other town does the same stuff, right? So
Right.
we really need to emphasize some of those regional partnerships or multi-town partnerships, this back office stuff, because, it gets out of hand. Thank you.
Okay, so we'll be going to the Finance Committee on Thursday, previewing the list of these capital requests that we've received with them. Talk about next steps, what it will look like. I'd like to kind of discuss these items with before Finance Committee meetings moving forward as well. Just to make sure that both boards are on the same page. And we, as far as operational requests go, we've received those. We're now starting to meet with each department on their operational requests as well. We should know just back to on the rotunda, we should know typically they tell you about those grants in November, but you're also usually able to apply in late July, early August. We weren't able to apply in September. So we're likely gonna, I talked to Jack Burke, we're likely gonna submit the application for the rotunda. Their applications are due December 3rd, December 4th, I think. And then we can always pull it back, find out what.
When do you anticipate that you're meeting with the Finance Committee on Thursday? Do you anticipate another conversation with us about stuff? Financial stuff.
I mean, I think it's probably going to be some element of that going to be almost on every meeting, that select board meeting, I would think. It's hard to say if it'll be the next select board meeting or the one after that. But because I'm still going through the process internally with the department on their requests, and for me, I typically I like to see the operational side of things before kind of making recommendations as to how we're gonna fund capital items. I want to know, what are we bringing in taxation, pre asking for a debt exclusion, and then how are we going to best utilize that towards things we have in front of us, and kind of separate it out that way. So I'd like to see those numbers, dive into that a little bit before coming back with a recommendation how we separate these items out.
I think we may need to talk priorities, is why I'm asking. Because the likelihood of us doing every single on the list, that might be tough. So that's a conversation we need to board. Priorities.
Yeah, that sounds good. I could see, just by looking at this right away, I could see dredging, the roadway reconstruction, including underground utilities, grouping those together, and the PFAS item, all kind of being their own individual debt exclusion project. And then we have those other three that we have to decide if that's something that, those are.
Problem is, the meat of this thing,
Most of it. Most of it is must-haves. I can see, I can see. I'll get you guys more information about the harbor master request, but a lot of this is only a couple things in here that I might have a different opinion about, but as far as the smaller dollar number amount of those items, a lot of those are either standard, reoccurring requests on an annual basis under capital, or they're things that have been on the list that need to get done. The larger projects are all things that have been discussed. That's why I added this paper behind. I think that town, the finance committee of the town, they're talking about a 5-year capital plan, and a lot of these items have been previewed.
Scary to see them all on one sheet.
It is.
I'm the lucky one to,
And the ones that make a difference are the big ones. $25,000, $50,000 is not a
No, but still,
big decision unless you're gonna put, a dozen of them together.
but when you're looking at numbers like we're looking at, if we can get rid of something that's $50,000, I'll take the pennies. I mean, I just keep remembering, the conversations I've been hearing on the news lately about the insurance, trying to think about this from the residents' perspective. They're getting their tax bill. We have to be careful how much we raise the tax bill if we're going to raise the tax bill, and debt exclusions, they count. Okay? And I don't know about you guys, I got hit with a 40% increase in my health. 40. Okay? And so anybody who doesn't work for a company who isn't getting some sort of subsidized health insurance, that's a big nut we'll have to follow, and I don't want to add to that. So I just think we have to really sharpen.
Or at least understand why we.
Or can you push something off,
Yeah.
push something off a year? Does everything on this list have to be this year? We got to ask the questions. We have to ask those questions.
I think you do. I think you got to ask the question. I think, unfortunately, from my initial impression here, is a lot of these things on this list, those questions have been asked year after year, and they've been pushed off year after year, and the cost of things continues to rise. And then you get, a change in PFAS regulations that all of a sudden have a $12 million project that you weren't planning 5-10 years ago. So those, there's definitely going to be some large numbers.
I don't disagree with that. I just want to make sure that when we talk about these numbers, I want us to understand when we back it all up, how does that compare to the inflation rate that we currently have or are projected to have? And, want to see some history, how much have we been raising things? And we have to have.
We still got to add a school budget.
That, to your point, not everything's on this list.
Nice first step.
It's good, but that's important to talk about this stuff first,
This whole conversation, let's move on.
All right.
Is that the end of your report? You have another shock for us?
No, it can be. We talked about as far as just going things with the senior center. We're still on track. We're hoping for initial 10% design document cost estimates by mid-December. We're meeting with friends.
Yes,
Wednesday to look at the updated conceptual plans. All 3 conceptual plans are excellent. It'll be interesting to see how they vary in cost. Hopefully we can get all 3 costs estimated out, then we can decide which we're going to. But I we're making, significant progress under the umbrella of COA with the director being hired, with meeting tonight on the condo doc, and then continuing the progress on the design.
Mhm.
That case? Okay, we can turn off the Zoom, after I say this. I move that the select board enter into executive session pursuant to general laws, chapter 30A, section 21A6, consider purchase, exchange, lease, or value of real estate property at Sonic Hall, 10 Church Street, if the chair declares an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the negotiation position of the public body and not return to open session. I do say that an open meeting could have a detrimental effect.
Second.
Jeff? Brian?
Yes.
Kathy?
Yes.
Anne says yes.
John, yes.